Okay, today we're going to look at the Xbox 360 XDK. An XDK is basically the kit used by Microsoft to develop software for the Xbox 360. The Xbox XDK includes libraries and compilers and various tools used to create games for the Xbox. The XDK has got integrated into Visual Studio, and it's what's used to create the games on the actual Xbox 360. The XDK can also be used to record game footage and make screenshots and trailers and stuff like that. This particular XDK, as you can see on the right, has got a sidecar on the top. That's a hard drive. It's used to store obviously system files. It also has inputs at the back to allow you to use an emulator for the DVD, and a PIX communication port obviously to allow debugging. Power supply is slightly different on the XDK. It's 213 watt as opposed to 203 watt for the standard Xbox 360, or the fat models anyway. This is Xbox Neighborhood. It's a little bit of software that's used to dial in over a network into the Xbox, so you can control the Xbox from your PC. What I'm doing here is just inputting the IP address of the Xbox, which is going to allow me to connect it to this PC. Once it's installed, you gain access to the files. There we go, just connecting there. You gain access to the files and things like that. Once you've gained access to the Xbox, you can load in demos like this. I've loaded in this Dolphin demo. I don't know if anybody of you remember, but the original Xbox, the OG Xbox, had this particular demo installed as standard on its XDK. While you've got these graphical things running, you can look at one of the things that this allows you to do is look at the actual hardware, see what the hardware's doing. Is it performing? Is it overheating? Is it where does it crash? It's used to monitor the actual performance of the hardware itself. So that's quite a cool bit of kit when you're developing games, really. This was something I just come across. It shows all the pipelines and the things that are actually going on inside the Xbox. It's quite a nice little video just to show what's actually going on and how your software goes through the Xbox itself. This was a cool little feature, just shows you direct control of what's going on. Obviously the rendering, this is just a wireframe being displayed, but it was a cool little thing just to include, just to show how you can take control of the Xbox, indirectly, and just obviously get it to display things. So thought I'd include that. And there's the hardware monitor, just to see what was going on. Like I said, these are the tools that the developer used. This is a standard retail game. So I think probably people will be wondering whether you can actually play games on this. Unfortunately, no. You can't play retail games, even though it's got a dashboard like a standard Xbox. As you can see, it will not play retail games. Okay, just what you can do is obviously run games from the internal hard drive. So obviously what I'm doing here is starting up Gears of War 3. It's just a prototype that was loafing around. Somebody had loaded it in, so before I'd purchased it. So just going to take a little bit of a look at this. Just interested. It's everything is capable of running it from the hard drive. I don't think this is obviously quite a late on game. It's something that's quite late on in its development. Everything seems to be there. You can bring up a dev menu and stuff like that, so you can look at things. And obviously the biggest thing for the XDK is to be able to look at the applications running, do stress tests on the Xbox, look at the temperatures, look at for voltage over and under voltage problems. And these are things that the developers are not just looking at the game code, they're looking at how the actual mechanics, the hardware of the Xbox is holding up under the pressure, if you know what I mean. Through the life of the Xbox, there was many XDKs developed. Obviously, mine is a fat unit. There are slim and the E models, the X and A kits, which were used at some expos and game studios, stuff like that. These were stress test kits, like I said, and used to check the performance of the Xbox itself. Whereas mine is a sidecar, the stress test kits tended to look more like a standard Xbox with a standard hard drive on them. Obviously the Xbox 360's reached the end of its life long ago, and access to Microsoft servers has obviously been switched off long ago, so a lot of the features for these units no longer work. But there are people that are obviously really in the community, really collect and gather and save and distribute the software and SDKs that allow us to be able to continue to use these machines. One of the websites I went on was Seven Sins. That got quite a lot of resources and information and people that still love these systems and collect various different types of hardware. There are some beautiful looking ones. The later units were all painted and very, very slick and beautiful looking. Great to have on your shelf. They actually do look lovely. The Xbox 360 was a powerhouse of its time. I really did think that they gave PlayStation a run for its money. I think PlayStation did make a bit of a cock-up with the PlayStation 3, especially the fat model anyway. It was overpriced and a massive unit. They tried to do a bit too much. Xbox 360 just snuck in the door there and took the crown for that generation, in my opinion. I've got quite a few Xbox 360s. I think I might do a video later on. I've got an X key. An X key is a drive emulator that allowed you to obviously run games off the hard drive, or off an external hard drive should I say. And I've also got some RGH. That's where you've modded the system in software and obviously altered files and the NAND to allow you to do exactly the same thing, both of which are quite technical to achieve. But nonetheless, the result's the same, that you can play games off either an internal or external hard drive. So I might do a video on those later on. The Xbox 360 has got so much to explore. There's so much to that generation. I think Microsoft, it's their best generation they've had. I think really to this date as well. You can't help but love this particular series. The early ones were absolutely groundbreaking. I think the series did get a little bit tired towards the end. I found that the want to play this they didn't change it up enough. I think it just became too much of the same thing. But technically, absolutely groundbreaking. You've only got to look at the visuals and understand the time and effort and the skill that's gone into developing a game of this quality. But it's nice to actually use the XDK and actually understand a little bit more and appreciate a little bit more the functions and the internal workings of the Xbox. One of the reasons I like to buy these dev kits is to understand a little bit more about what it takes to actually build these games. And like you say, it really does open your eyes a little bit and make you appreciate what actually goes on under the hood and what is needed to build these games. So that's just a little bit of a look at the Xbox 360 XDK kit. I have got some more dev kits stored away. I think the next one's going to be the Sega Saturn. That one's a little bit more rare. There's not that many about. So obviously I'll be getting that video to you shortly. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll let this pan out and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.